Well, the post-Valentine's Day letdown has all happened now. We're all out of love. So lost without you. Braver than the rest coming to you from a snow-covered. Kids are out of school today, and there's a 2-hour delay in the city, I think, for tomorrow, and no school for a lot of the area again tomorrow.
Oh, again tomorrow. It's supposed to keep snowing tonight.
It is supposed to keep snowing tonight.
Cold.
But you know, the weather here, meteorologists are generally wrong, and they get to keep their job. Very few jobs are like that.
Yeah.
Here, it seems to be an interesting challenge for them. Like, I've been here for, 10 years or 8 years, whatever, 10 years. This is some of the worst weather forecasting that we've ever encountered. I mean, it's just like we're going to get hammered with snow, and we don't get any. We're not going to get snow. It's going to be, partly cloudy, and we get blasted.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
They never get it right. The only place where I've ever seen an accurate weatherman was when I lived in Hawaii.
Florida is usually pretty good.
It's so easy to be a weatherman in Hawaii.
Yep, Florida's pretty good. Morning chance of thunderstorms, afternoon sun.
Right.
Pretty simple. But yeah, well, tonight we've got a lot to unpack. It seems like it's moving so fast. So fast. In fact, I was on my way here and heard something. I'm like, I got to look that up before we share it to make sure that it's true. But Elon Musk and Trump, they are cleaning house. And it's good because apparently we've got, I don't know how many hundreds of thousands of people that don't exist that not only have voted, but are collecting.
Oh, millions.
Millions.
Tens of millions.
Tens of millions of people.
Yep. All as old as, we'll talk about it, but as old as like in their 200s.
Yeah. Well,
I said that.
Keto diet.
It's all keto. They eat carnivore. That's what it is. Yeah. Keto, carnivore. No, I said it during my live stream today on Continue Freedom, my shameless plug that I give every episode. Continue Freedom. You can go check it out. But we've had people that lived Methuselah, Jared, the second oldest person in the Bible.
Yes.
But yeah, that ain't today. And yet they've got people that were here when the Revolutionary War was going on. I'm just kind of like, that ain't jiving.
Not happening.
No.
Not happening.
And I could pull it up here. Let me, we can go ahead. You want to kick it off with that one?
Yeah, that's great.
Okay. Yeah. We like to run, a relax. You all are hanging out with us tonight. That's what you're doing.
Yeah.
You're just hanging out with us tonight. If you're, by the way, the comment section, if you have any questions, have anything you want to add to it, throw it down in the comments. We'd love to have it.
Yeah. We talk back at you.
Oh yeah.
So we've got
the wrong screen. Okay. I knew I was going to do that.
So what have we've got people in their 200s, anybody approaching 300 that is
one.
There is one.
Yeah, so there's a
360 to 69. They got one in there from 360.
Yeah, but I mean, look at this: 110 to 119, 3.6 million.
Wow.
130 to 139, 3.9 million. 140 to 149, 3.5 million. 150 to 159. You're doing pretty good at that point.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, but still, there you get 1.3 million.
There's a part of me that feels like if this was truly our ages, right? If this was true, then you probably don't need Social Security until you're about 120.
Yeah. If we can figure out what this 240 person is doing, we can solve the Social Security crisis.
We don't need to do anything.
Yeah.
I mean,
retirement age of 125, and then you're
good. I mean, you still got another 100 years before you got to even worry about anything.
Absolutely.
And is this because our system is so archaic? Because this is what I'm hearing over and over. The system is so archaic that this is just clerical errors.
I mean, I've heard a lot of different things. I don't know if it's that it's.
And where's it going?
Well, there's the other question. Now, you've heard of people, the fraud in it's been there ever since the beginning, that people would keep drawing their dead, like their parents would die, and there'd be a paperwork mix-up, and they would still be able to, their Social Security checks would still be showing up, and they just keep cashing them, and nobody knows the difference.
Nobody says anything. Nobody knows.
Nobody says anything. So, yeah, there's some of that. Part of it, is the system being old and outdated, and there's a higher margin for error. But this is, I'm just going to say it, man, this is money laundering.
Oh, absolutely.
This is what's happening here. This is just straight up money laundering.
And when they find out, if they can find out who and how this is all coming to be, the people need to be held accountable, which I am beginning to think they just might be held accountable.
Yeah.
This is the first time that we're going, hey, wait a minute. People might be held accountable. And speaking of accountability, there is a story out now, and I don't know if you saw this, but there's a story out now that 86 pardons that Biden issued to people, the preemptive pardon situation is unlawful.
Yes. So I saw that article that you sent, and
it is fact checked. It's not true, but I wanted to talk about that tonight because, in a sense, and I know what they're going to say, but that is almost admission of guilt. And yet, am I right? I mean, that's exactly what the American people think. I think is that okay, we're going to pardon Fauci for what exactly?
Right. That's the question. Tom Fitton has brought this up. He's the one who runs Judicial Watch.
Yes,
and he's unbelievable.
He is solid.
So good.
Yep, he's solid.
But he's made a similar argument, and I don't want to put words in his mouth. I know I've listened to him. I've read some of his articles and things, or things that his folks have pushed out. You have to. If you go back and read the actual statute, it says that you have to admit to a crime if you're going to be pardoned, or you have to have been charged with the crime. So if this preemptive pardon thing is still muddy water, they aren't really certain how this is supposed to go. And blanket pardons, people are like, I don't even think this is a thing, is the argument they're making. And when you give a blanket pardon to Liz Cheney and Anthony Fauci and all these folks, well, a pardon is for saying, you have to say, I did this thing and I accept a pardon for this thing that I did. They aren't doing that. They're just saying, as if he's got a magic wand, I absolve you of all of your crimes. And that's not constitutional.
It's not constitutional. And so, and I like to say this because people out there, whenever you see something that is fact-checked and false, there's always a root to it. There's always a seed that's planted to it that you go, wait a minute though, this story has come out. Does that mean somebody in there is fishing for a way to make those?
Well,
and even if, or is, we all know the fact checkers have been absolutely abhorrible, right? They're awful.
So biased.
And so, is it true? And they don't want anybody to know about it.
Yeah.
Because that'll keep lawsuits from flying.
I'm thinking about Senator Kennedy.
Yeah.
Did you ever hear his take on fact checkers? He said, there were a lot of fact checkers when Noah was building the ark, and then all the fact checkers died.
That's right. That's truth. That's truth.
Oh gosh. But yeah, they're biased, and they've got political motives.
Yeah. And so when you see something on the internet or see something that seems too far-fetched to be true, probably is. However, there's a seed of truth in every lie, right? I mean, you kind of think of it that way where you go, where's this coming from? Because it is true what you're saying. You can't be pardoned for something that is like anything. There's nothing, but you're pardoned from nothing. No, that's not how that works. Because essentially it's a blanket pardon.
Right.
You can't do that.
Because they're trying to say that anything that they may throw at you, because Joe Biden and his staff don't know all the crimes that Anthony Fauci committed or that Liz Cheney's ever committed. And in an effort to prevent them to give them total blanket immunity from prosecution, they say, well, I'm just going to absolve you of everything beforehand and then let the courts fight it. But you can play the videos, and I've seen a ton. I don't have any of them pulled up now, but montages of videos video montages where people are saying, if Donald Trump issues a pardon for his family or issues a pardon for this, why do you need a pardon if you're not guilty? Why do you need a pardon if you're not guilty?
And they do the same thing, and it's like, oh, it's totally fine because we're worried about political retribution.
Right.
Well, I don't know if you want to call what's happening right now political retribution. I call it getting to the truth, getting to the root. The fruit has been so corrupt for so long, and I think he got a taste of it his first 4 years in office. Mm-hmm. And I think that the only thing that he could do, not a surgeon, a hatchet, go in and just axe it all. Just just set it on fire, because it is so corrupt and it is so bad that there is no choice. What do you do? What do you do when the, of course, you got the bad seed in the apple, right? And so one bad apple spoils the whole bunch. What do you do when you've only got like 3 good apples out of the spoiled bunch? Because this is what we're dealing with. This is what we're seeing, is that there's some good in the government, but overall, it's all rotten to the core. I mean, what are we finding out about the IRS?
I don't know what they found out so far, at least not that I can recall, but I know they are looking at it intensely. And they're freaking out about it. The left, only the left is freaking out about it.
Yes, they're freaking out.
Yeah.
I wish that somebody would come out. Well, Elon needs to come out with it because he's the only one that could do it and give it justice. But a Doge tracker app, like,
oh, he actually. Let me see if I've still got it.
He does the updates really well, but just like a real time tracking of like, okay, so we're here sitting down and we just found $40 billion that had been laundered.
Oh yeah. Well, he's kind of doing that on X.
Yeah, that's what I mean. But he's posting and
right,
keeping us abreast of what's going on, which is great. But I think it'd be great to see the actual, like, here's what we're finding. Here's what we're finding. The Doge clock.
Yeah.
Okay.
So they actually added this to the debtclock.org, which is one of my favorite websites to go to. I go there to feel sad about what's going on. What's going on with our economy and what's going on with our spending. But yeah, the Doge clock is at 114 billion right now.
$114 billion that they've found
in a month.
Mm-hmm.
And people debate about how accurate this clock is versus other trackers. And some people will say Doge has only found $30 billion worth of waste, and that's nothing. It's like, okay, you're arguing for something pretty ridiculous when you say
only 30 billion.
Only 30 billion in the first month with
yeah.
I mean, but no, this is a more accurate number. 114 billion is where they are. And I'm hoping their goal is $1 trillion. They say they could possibly get to 2 trillion.
Oh, that'd be amazing.
Cuts. If that happened,
that would be amazing.
What's the phrase? Katie bar the door.
Yeah.
Yeah. What it is.
That would be absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, and I love that there's all this uproar about him not being, elected, right? But the last time I checked, the presidential appointees, this is what they do. I mean, this is,
a president can appoint. This is constitutional to be able to institute an outside. It's basically outside of the government is what it is. It's not technically a federal agency,
right?
And so it's only advisory. And so what they're doing is they're finding the fraud, waste, and abuse by having access to the system, which many other civilian agencies have out. Look, civilians have access to our nuclear arsenal. Who do you think builds it?
Right.
Raytheon does their part and Boeing does their part. And
right.
Civilian agencies control our nuclear arms. It's not or create our nuclear arms.
Right.
It's not the federal government out here with ICBM factories.
Right.
No, it's these people we're giving hundreds of billions of dollars to. They've got access to all the information they could ever possibly want. Now, but when Elon Musk has access to all that data, that's a problem.
Yeah.
That's a problem because he's not on the right political side. I mean, technically he is, but he's siding with free speech and he's siding with ending fraud, waste, and abuse. So we got to lay on our back and kick our feet like little toddlers, which is what they're doing.
Mm-hmm. It's exactly what they're doing.
Temper tantrum.
I loved what he said. He tweeted out about, getting bank information and stuff. And he says, "Oh, you mean like when I had PayPal?"
Yeah.
Like I had that already. I
had all the banking information.
We've moved on from this. This is,
Well, and I still think it's funny. I in their heads, and whatever psychosis is got a grasp on their vision of reality, right? Is Elon Musk sitting in the corner with a spreadsheet and saying, writing down Social Security numbers.
Yeah. He's got a highlighter. He's over there with the corner of the highlighter, like, oh, this one, get this one,
look at
get
that
this
credit score. Oh,
Yeah.
I could buy a new TV with that.
Yeah.
The guy's worth $400 billion.
Yeah, he doesn't care one bit
No, he
about
doesn't.
your social.
He don't want your money.
Other than the fact that your social might be 260 years old. He cares about that.
Right.
So, boy, it's been an amazing, enlightening, between USAID, this, they're just, it's almost like the waste is so incredible. The Pentagon is, everything is 2 years out and overpriced, like it's just like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
You can't run a business this way. Why are you running a business this way?
Well, when there's no competition, that's what's been limited. If you want to talk about military industrial complex, and
Yes.
the massive, I think DOD is going to be, it's the amount of waste they can cut from that is going to put USAID to shame.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I think we'll hit 2 trillion. That's where you're getting your big money.
Yeah.
Is the Pentagon and cutting all that out. I mean, you've got attorneys resigning. You've got from the Justice Department. You've got, I mean, people are running for the hills right now. And I saw today that I think Elon posted it that Bleach Bit. Do you have that graphic?
Let's see. I think I've got some of the search results.
Yeah, where it's Bleach Bit attorneys, obviously.
Yep, attorneys, statute of limitations.
Right.
Let's see. Yeah, here I've got it actually in this one. Let's see. So one of them was, bear with me here. Here, and I'm going to pull this graphic down because we weren't talking about that yet. Okay, so this graphic is showing interest over time for Swiss Bank.
That's it. Offshore
bank.
banking. Yep.
Wire Money and IBAN. And I forget what IBAN is. So then we've also got search results for wipe, erase. So there's your spike for that one. And then they've got, let's see, what was the other one? The other one was statute of limitations. This is the surge in Google data. And there's one more in here.
And this is just the district, D.C. This is the D.C. area.
Specific to the D.C. area, right? And then lawyers has
Look at
increased by
that.
400%. So these massive, massive spikes in things that are the deep state, all right, how am I going to?
Yeah, I gotta figure this out.
Yeah.
I mean, but I'm too stupid to. I'm using Google, which they are. They're not the brightest people, or they wouldn't be doing what they're doing, because if they know anything, you're going to be caught.
Yeah.
This
was the other one from Zero Hedge. They posted this one. Eruption in BleachBit, wipe hard drive, offshore bank surge.
There it is.
Yeah. Come on. That speaks volumes to what's going on there.
And yet we are witnessing a complete meltdown on the left about it.
Mm-hmm. This is, we've said it before. I think we said it in the last show that this is our time.
Yeah.
Your time away from your family, it has value.
That's right.
And you got to provide for your family, obviously. But you are spending time away from your family. You are working hard. You are having an impact on your health. You are losing the value of your automobile, driving to and from that place. You're investing the one thing that you can't make more of, and that's time. You're investing that in a job, and then they steal, because yes, taxation is theft. They steal 30% of your money, 25% of your money, whatever it is, and then go and spend it on wasteful things and treat it as if it's play money that has absolutely no value to them.
That's right.
They rip it away and they shove it in their own pockets. They buy people with it. They buy influence and power. And I'm sorry, but I don't want my time going to corrupt things.
No, and I think what we saw happening was people were actually onto this more and more, and I saw more and more rhetoric coming out about taxation's voluntary. More and more,
a lot of that,
more and more stuff where you're like, huh? I guess because you're. It's not just my algorithm. It just is what it is. This stuff is getting thrown out there more and more because I think a lot of people are tired of spending money on things they don't agree with.
Right.
And we're supposed to have no taxation without representation. Well, that's exactly what we've been having because our representation is being bought and paid for. And so we are thinking that we've got congressmen and senators that actually are listening to their constituents who, especially, senators are like, oh, we gotta, we better listen.
Yeah.
They're not listening to you because it's proven we are so easily manipulated that money you can buy votes. by what is sent out, the messaging, everything else, we'll just simply sway the American people to vote for you again with our money, our dollars.
Or we'll use our dollars and their dollars, the taxpayers' dollars, to block other people who could run against somebody.
Yeah.
It's how you get a Mitch McConnell who's been in for as long as he has.
Yep.
He gets the money, buys the politician. And, I'm a proponent of that. Like, does the government have some money that goes out that does good things? Yes, absolutely.
Sure.
It really does. There's certain places where we spend money. However, the involuntary allocation of that money to something that a bureaucrat says, I want to pump this money into it, that's not what I give up my tax dollars for.
Right.
And I think about this with like charities and things of that nature, that they are doing amazing, wonderful, glorious things. If people want to give their money to that, by all means, take less of it in tax dollars and let people of their own generosity, or put it in the ballot box and say, when they go to vote, or to say we're holding a budgeting vote, I don't know, and you go and you say, this is how much of my income, of my paycheck, I want to do. Then multiply that by however many 200 million people that are actually working or that have jobs or have income, and let them make their own decision on where that money goes. And if it's something the public wants or enough people want, it goes for it. Let them seek it out too.
That would be great. I mean, that would be great if that would work, if that's how it would work. But we've seen, because we've got these dyed-in-the-wool politicians now, that they're gonna listen to you, to your face, and then turn around and do something else anyway.
Right.
And the only answer is vote them out.
Yeah.
I mean, that's all you can do. And so, but we don't. I mean, you've got like Ilhan Omar, right? Who basically comes out and says that she's, in the American government to help Somalia.
Yeah.
Wait, that's not what you do. That's not why you're here. And if you're working for another government while you're in our government, that's like,
what's treason?
You think?
When you become an American citizen, you have to denounce any allegiance to any other nation.
And it doesn't look like or sound like, from her rhetoric recently, that she's done either one of those two things. You've got AOC. Did you see Tom came out with that? AOC is teaching, has videos on for migrants on how to escape, how to still work around the system. And I'm sorry, that's against you're not supposed to be teaching them how to break the law. You're supposed to be upholding the law. Oh, you've got it. Yep. Of course you do.
Of course I do.
Yeah.
Come on, man.
This is great. This is crazy to me. If it'll play.
AOC out there, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, Congresswoman, putting out a webinar, doing a webinar to help illegals avoid, I guess, apprehension, giving tips about how to continue to remain in the country and ultimately game the system.
And I sent an email today to the Deputy Attorney General. At what level is that impediment? Is that impediment? I'm not an attorney. I'm not a prosecutor. Is that impediment? Is that impeding our law enforcement efforts? If so, what are we going to do about it? Is she crossing the line? So I'm working with the Department of Justice and finding out where is that line that they cross. So maybe AOC is going to be in trouble now, but I need the AOG to opine on that. But because there's impediment is impediment, in my opinion. I'm not a prosecutor, but we need some further guidance on that. But again, if we have to take every federal dollar out of the city, we'll do it. I mean, we're done. This is about public safety. This is about community safety. Knowingly releasing a public safety back in the public is just stupid. You're putting the public at great risk. You're putting our officers at great risk. You're even putting the illegal alien at great risk, because anything can happen on arrest on the street. So we just want to make common sense. In sanctuary cities, they want to step aside. We're coming. We're going to do it for you. If you don't want to make your community safer, President Trump's going to.
Yeah.
Boom.
But I mean, this, the squad, of course, is all up in arms about this and doing things to subvert the very government that they're part of. Mm-hmm. And you sit back and go, there needs to be accountability for that. When you're going out and breaking, like you said, I'm not an attorney, but doesn't that sound exactly like, I mean,
well, so in Aurora, they're investigating right now an FBI agent, at least one, if not more, at least one that they know of, who alerted them. I actually did a podcast. Part of my show was on the ICE showing up, and nobody was there. All the apartment complexes were empty. They went to 3 or 4 different locations, all of them empty. And obviously, the officer on the scene said, somebody knew about this. We don't know where the leak is. We'll fix it, but we're not going to stop. We'll keep going. Well, they found out it was an FBI agent who tipped them off. That person is not just going to lose their job and pension, as Tom Homan said, but they're going to go to jail.
Yes.
For what they did.
Yes.
And how is it that just, you sit in the Capitol and you're coaching people on doing the same thing, and it's okay? This is
it's not.
That's a 2-tier justice system.
It's not.
So,
and you know what? She has said so many things inflammatory and everything else that, yeah, go get her.
Yeah.
Go get her. I mean, any of them. Go get them. If you're going to sit there and say, we're coming for you, the Supreme Court justices shouldn't be able to eat in public. You remember that whole mess when Kavanaugh was being confirmed, and they were like, we're going to hunt you down. We're not going to be able to eat.
Oh, yeah.
It's like, no, those senators and congressmen need to be held accountable for that. Mm-hmm. That kind of rhetoric is not appropriate. It's not right. And it really is like inciting.
It is. And this is where it gets into gray, kind of a gray area.
And that's the problem. It's a gray area.
Because you can't, they say, you can't yell fire in a crowded theater, Well, okay. Well, what it is it's the incitement piece of it. Like you're saying, are you inciting the person? And they say it in such a veiled way that you could make an argument that they're not inciting. But when Maxine Waters says you need to get up in their face, you need to push back, and it's not, you don't need to push them. She says you need to get in their face, push back against them, and as in a more rhetorical
I didn't
way.
say push them.
Right. I just said push back against. We're talking about ideology. We have to.
Yeah.
I meant the First Amendment. I meant the.
Yeah. They're all.
It's a very crude.
Yep.
Social political movement.
But man, I'll tell you what. Seeing what they're bringing out as far as complaints against Doge, against Trump, against Pocahontas is out there, beating her drum. You just sit back and go, you're part of the problem. It's funny because in the same exact day, you see Pocahontas out there beating her drum, Elizabeth Warren, and then she's confronted on the street about, how is it exactly that you have a $12 million home when you're,
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that's right, because you're part of the problem. You're one of the reasons why we're where we're at, and yet you're going to pretend to be a bleeding heart. All these people are losing their jobs. If you're in a hospital, you better be, like our elderly, and they're going to be without food. And it's just like, no,
that's not how this works.
It's not how this works.
Well, and the plane crashes. This is something, we can get into that. Jeremy, I will tell you, the conspiracy theorist in me is oozing from my pores, and I'm trying to keep it from coming out of my mouth.
Yeah, no, roll with it, because I've had some similar thoughts, I guarantee.
Look, I just saw one today. It hadn't been confirmed. It was from a very big account, but he's also less than honest individual. But another one today, an American Airlines flight today. And they keep saying, the left says, this is your FAA, this is your safety under Donald Trump.
Yeah.
That we hadn't had plane crashes in, I don't know, there was a couple of them last year, and we've had 9 since he's been in office.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
I'm sorry, but I'm going to give you my conspiracy theory. This is not fact checked. This is not for certain my conspiracy theory. They know that what he is doing is going to have a positive impact on the economy. They know that his tax cuts are coming because that just went to the floor in the House, or it just got proposed in the House.
Okay. To
go back to Trump era tax cuts, cut $2 trillion, like a reduction in federal spending. And I can pull up the article if people want to see it, but it's there in the Post Millennial. Go check it out. And in fact, let me pull it up here. Here we go. There. So if you think I'm lying, I'm not. They advanced the budget proposal, $2 trillion spending decrease. So all these things are good for the economy. They are good for the American people. It's putting money back in their pocket. If you make people afraid to get on an airplane, you halt
travel.
Now you're just stopping travel.
You're stopping the economy.
Right. You start slowing the economy.
Yep.
People get a little more scared because we're coming into spring and summer when people are going to be spending that money.
Yep.
I just feel like it's intentional. Somebody is doing this. I don't know how, I don't know what, but you can't just all of a sudden Because they say it's because of the air traffic controllers. He didn't fire any air traffic controllers.
He didn't do anything there.
No, it didn't change anything about the air
I
safety.
mean, you think about when this all started.
Sorry, that's a conspiracy theorist.
You think about when but the American people, by and large, and I hope that we're smarter than this, right? They don't look at Trump's start date and the date of the accidents and go, see, look, because his first week, yeah, he hit the ground running. I get it. But all of the things that we're seeing had nothing to do with his administration or him, nothing to do with it. And he's going to go in and fix it. You know how? You're not going to have the DEI pilot hires anymore. You're not going to have, he's going to do away with that stuff. I mean, the American Airlines flight, right? That flipped over.
Mm-hmm. That was a Delta one.
Delta. Yeah. Wasn't that the all girl?
So this is what they, I don't think it's been officially claimed yet, but a lot of people are saying it was Allegiant, which is their regional carrier.
Yes, we love Allegiant here.
Yeah. And Allegiant has their TikTok filled with what they call unmanned flights.
Yeah,
which is
that's what.
all women.
Yeah, all women.
So that's
which is totally cool. It's fine if it's all women. I don't care one way or the other. If it's all women that earned their stripes.
Sure.
If it's DEI, then yeah, we have a problem with this because I don't want a pilot who didn't pass math.
Yeah.
That's a quota purchase. That's not going to work for me.
I heard somebody made a great comparison that if you're pulling from the bulk of whatever it is, 90% of pilots are men. It's like anything, right? There's more bricklayers that are men. There's more pilots that are men. There's more women in other institutions. It's just because we're different. We have different preferences. But anyways, like 90%. I'm going to mess up the numbers. But the point is you have 5% of the pilots being female. The pool you are pulling from, because women don't typically want to be pilots, becomes smaller. So if you're trying to make it more equitable, you have to go lower on because you're going to get a fairly broad spectrum of people coming in. You have to go lower on the qualifications in order to equal out the number, or bring the number closer to equal.
To do it quickly, right?
And to do it quickly.
And to entice them. Meanwhile, the bottom line is it's not that women can't be pilots or shouldn't
Absolutely.
be. They're not applying for it. I don't believe that any airline sits there and is like, well, we really kind of want a man up there.
Yeah.
No, they don't. You can fly, but it's just not something a lot of women have pursued for some reason. And we might see more of it later, but I don't think that is a gender. And just because it's a male dominated field, don't confuse that with a gender gap or a gender, preference. I guess that's the problem is what we've done is just say, well, if more men are in that's because men are preferred. There's a lot of circumstances where has nothing to do with preference, has nothing to do with any of that. It just is what it is.
Yeah.
So,
should I play the one from the 60s where they actually pranked people about women pilots?
No. No. Even though that was funny. That is funny. Yeah, you should. Yeah, go ahead. Because you know what? It used to be like that.
It used to be that way.
It used to be that way.
Do you want me to play it?
Sure. Yeah, we can play it. This is how it used to be.
Bobby, what time do you have?
3:20.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Okay, everything's in order. And congratulations, by the way. Why? That was your pilot.
Oh, whoops.
That girl was? I'm sorry. That was my pilot? Hey, what's the matter? That girl? Yes, sir. It's a new service. First woman pilot.
What a different time.
And the first thing that she did was to ask what time it was.
That's what scares me.
You think the pilot would at least know what time it is?
They asked the stewardess, or
Piloted by a woman?
Piloted by a woman.
She's gonna fly it?
Well, yeah, she's the pilot.
Never heard of such a thing.
I think we'll be getting in about 3:30.
Beautiful. Okay. I'm willing to go if you are.
Oh, Bobby, it's my knitting.
oh gosh, I just skipped it. Sorry.
I think we'll be getting in about 3:30.
Beautiful. Okay. I'm willing to go if you are.
Oh, Bobby, it's my knitting the boarding.
You're knitting?
Yes.
I have no idea.
What's your name?
Flag, Captain Flag.
Captain Flag.
Fine.
I can't believe it.
Why not?
I'm shaking.
Why? It's the first woman pilot on
Do the passengers know this?
I don't know. What do you think? I don't think you should tell him.
That was a Candid Camera episode.
Was it Candid Camera?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, back
my
in the
gosh.
60s.
That's
You know, it's and it was back then. Gender, I get it. All the different things. There's a big movement to go back to that kind of, you know, stay-at-home values, you know, and all that. Which I
they call
don't.
them trad wives now. Is the
Trad wives.
Yeah,
Okay,
traditional
the
wives.
trad wife.
Yeah.
Yeah. I have no problem with. I have no problem with whatever you want to do.
I honestly, I think that, gosh, I've moved so differently. Well, I'm not too worried. I don't think anybody's going to get angry about this. A traditional wife in the home has become so difficult because of the cost of living.
Yes, it has
forced us into having the woman work all the time, the man work all the time. The kids are raised by the school or whoever can babysit them.
Yep.
And having having the wife in the home provides just such a remarkable level of stability that our society had for the longest time. And the corporation said, no, it's more important. And this has led to our decrease in the birth rate and all these things, that womanhood is some burden that you have to bear. And they start when it comes to the abortion argument of, okay, a child is a parasite. They make this argument that it's this parasite that is leeching off of your body and it's best to destroy this sort of thing, that it's going to prevent you from doing all the things that you want to do. And so when women used to want to be at home to take care of their families, it's like it's not liberation, in my opinion, to go sit in an office, you know, nugging out PowerPoint slides for somebody, but it's become a necessity because they made it so expensive for a family to even exist.
Yeah, I think in the beginning they viewed it as liberation. They were indoctrinated into thinking it was the liberating thing to do. And because of the earning potential, now you can't do without having that happen. You know, you've got to make a lot of sacrifices in order for you to have the lifestyle where you have a stay-at-home spouse. And it you know, man or woman, you know, either one, but that foundation with the kids especially little kids, having somebody there is really important.
It's very important.
And, you know, so yeah, you've got that. But so, yeah, we've heard and seen the clips about that being a DEI flight that overturned. And thank gosh, I mean, the fact that 80 some people were on board and nobody was killed.
That was remarkable.
Remarkable.
Yeah.
Remarkable. And so thank God for that. But, you know, yeah, this just came in, by the way, that Trump is going to sign an executive order as of, you know, an hour ago.
Oh, wow.
Ending benefits for illegal immigrants.
Hey-o.
Period. I don't know what took him so long.
Yeah, I know. He waited a whole month to do that. Good gracious.
Yeah. So Washington Times Fox posted it 3 hours ago. Washington Times posted it an hour ago. But Trump's to sign an executive order ending benefits. Why would they have benefits to begin with? Yeah, I'm reminded of the COVID checks that were rolled out. Mm-hmm. Anybody that had been to America that had a work visa could apply for a COVID relief check, and they got them. Thousands, hundreds of thousands of people overseas once they caught word of it. Wow. If you were in America, you just had to apply for a check. You got one. Whether you're in Sweden, Germany, it didn't matter. We'd send you $1,500. Nobody's editing any. Nobody's looking into any of that. It's just, wait, what? You're not even here. You're not from here. First of all,
right?
You're not a citizen. But
government's really bad with money.
Yeah,
it's
really bad.
I know that is a very simple statement to make, but my goodness, a Leviathan like we've got, this monstrosity of a organization. We just really stink at it.
Yeah.
We're so bad at managing money. I think, didn't they say that the fraud overall through COVID was like $2 trillion or something crazy?
Now, speaking of which, speaking of being very good with money, let's have a bet, $20. I'm going to say that they can go over $2 trillion that they find. I think.
You think they'll go over $2 trillion?
I do.
Wow. How glorious would that be?
I think they're going to.
I think of these. I honestly, I know I don't have kids, but I think of kids that what we're doing to them, the future generations.
Yes.
And so I see your kids, and I see my nieces and my nephews, and I'm like, these kids they've got $100,000 in debt to the federal government that they owe. They have to pay the government $100,000. They ain't even working yet.
Yep.
And then multiply that by however many, youngsters we've got running around. That's how irresponsible it has been.
Yeah.
That we have put that burden on them.
Yeah. Well, it'll never happen. It'll never happen, right? They're never going to pay it.
Yeah. I mean,
because what's going to happen is it's going to all fall before they can. You can't run your business like this for long. And we've gotten to a point, where who was the last one to balance the budget? Was it a Clinton?
I think it was Clinton was the last one to balance it.
You can't do that for very long. And we've been doing it for 30 years. Was it 30 years? Clinton.
Yeah. He would have been 30s. He was in the 90s. He's 90.
Yeah.
So
30 years. You can't do it for 30 years. If I do it for 6 months, we're in trouble. Right?
Yeah.
You can't owe people money for 30 years and expect it to just go away. Unless you're the U.S. government.
Well, and that's the thing. That's why they worry about the BRICS nations, and they worry about other things that could. I think that Bitcoin is going to play a role in helping us pay it down.
Yep.
And I'm still waiting for Trump to give his policy on cryptocurrency, but they're talking about using Ripple, which is it's XRP is the stock. What's on the crypto market? It's XRP, but Ripple is a program that lets you do fast transaction of cryptocurrencies far faster than anybody else.
Okay.
Bitcoin has been to the moon for the longest time. It's in kind of a slump right now, but they are saying they want to back the U.S. dollar with certain things. They're saying it could be gold and some silver and Bitcoin, cryptocurrencies, a large number of other things to give our dollar a bit of stability. I don't know exactly how that's going to work when you switching over from a fiat currency to an actual backed currency. I'm not an economist. I'm not that smart on it, but I'm waiting for him to do that. I just think that there's other avenues to do it. And then you talk about the $500 billion that he's going to get from Ukraine in rare earth elements. He's got $2 trillion worth of investment from China. All of these things are going to contribute to paying down the debt in conjunction with massive, massive, massive government spending cuts. Shrinking and eliminating, and you eliminate the Department of Education, and you're talking about.
Oh, that's huge.
I don't even know what their budget is. I think it's like $45 billion or something.
Yeah, and I know on the border front, once we get that all under control. In fact, I read that right now the state officials are putting the cartels on notice. Basically, as they're just waiting for a green light. Like, give us a green light, we're going in. And
so he already declared them terrorist groups.
Yes, he did. So here's a question. Because the cartels control so much, would that essentially, I know it wouldn't be a war against the Mexican government, but it would very much be a war.
Yeah. Okay. So I listened to a guy today, and he was a former Black Hawk pilot. He worked with the CIA, that sort of thing.
Okay.
So I trust him about as far as I could throw him, and that's why I don't believe his take, or I don't like his take. He said that if we start flying drones, armed drones, into Mexico and hitting these fentanyl labs and meth labs or whatever else they're doing, whatever else they've got going on, with precision drone strikes, like we've been doing in Syria and other places, although Syrians aren't killing us, but
right.
We've got
fentanyls.
Yeah, fentanyl is. It's
Yeah.
killing hundreds of thousands of Americans a year. So if we start doing that's considered an invasion, and that's not accurate. If we roll tanks down into Tijuana, okay, that's an invasion.
Well, it's an invasion if they don't give us permission.
Right.
And I have a feeling the president of Mexico is going to give permission for us to do whatever we need to do to eradicate the cartels. And you got to think, for the communities these cartels are in, they built the church. They're great, but outside of the community, they're not so great.
Right.
And the influence that they push on the government, the influence they've bought the police forces, they've done all these different things where it's very hard to control them. And so if they decide, you know what, come and get them, we could see tanks rolling through Tijuana. And
I don't want to see that. But
no, I don't either. That's why because that would be a full scale war at that point.
But you make a good point, like a really important point, and that is their relationship to the local population, because there's places where they like the Taliban, there's places where they like Al Qaeda, there's places where.
And what did you guys deal with? When it's there, it's incredibly hard to get the truth. It's incredibly hard to find things out. I mean, I can't imagine what that life is like, where you're always looking over your shoulder because the guy that told you where they are might be one of them, right?
Well, and if we went into full on conflict with the cartels, it would be we'd be fighting an insurgency. So it's a counterinsurgency fight all the way, and that is messy, costly, and will take 25 years.
Yeah,
Yeah. So we go out of one and into another. I don't want that. But if we can cost them enough money, and I don't know, have you ever seen what's the one with Tom Cruise? The guy, it was about the pilot who was flying the drugs.
Yes.
American, what was it called?
Yes. Give me a minute.
Oh,
I can picture it even.
Is anybody on that's watching right now remember that movie? What it was called? Oh goodness. But anyway, it was the CIA having a relationship with, directly, indirectly with the cartels, kind of knowing it was going on. That's a part of a movie. I don't know how accurate it is, but Sicario is much the same. Like they're working with the cartels. That's a fiction, but the CIA has done some shady deals.
Yes, they absolutely have.
You're getting rid of a
American Made. That was it.
Okay, American Made. Yeah,
yeah. That was a good movie.
So we've done that before, but we're typically kind of bad at it. Like we make things worse. We try to get into that sort of fight. So we are opening up a can of worms by going after the cartel. But it's if ever it was justified killing 100,000 Americans a year, it's justified. Like you're talking about World War numbers.
Yeah, that's right. You're talking about World War numbers.
Yeah.
So you're killing 100,000 Americans a year. Sorry.
And it's poison, by the way. It's poisoning Americans. It's not just giving them recreational drugs that they happen to overdose on. Fentanyl is poisoning them.
Yep. That's right.
Yeah. I don't know, man. I think that it's 5 cartels, and let me see. I've got the names of them if people are interested. But let's see.
I think it's something people are interested in. They don't know about it.
Yeah.
Right. So if they're standing there on the border waiting for a green light to go take these guys on and take them out, we need to know who we're dealing with. So yeah, go ahead.
And it's not just in Mexico. So Tren de Aragua, which is Venezuelan, MS-13, which I think is Mexico. I forget where MS-13 is.
I don't know.
But then the Sinaloa cartel, which has been around for ages. Jalisco New Generation Cartel, United Cartels, Northeast Cartel, Gulf Cartel, and I don't even know how to pronounce that.
Michoacan.
I don't know, family. So that's another.
I'd say Mohican.
Cartel. So yeah, they've all been officially designated as foreign terrorist organizations, which means executive power can be leveraged against them.
Which means you can, with Mexico's permission, drones could be flown over and labs could be blown up. Yeah. The other half of it which is obviously the easiest, is to find and seize bank accounts and banking stuff. But it's a cash business. So a lot of that stuff, you're not going to see the transactions and you're not going to know what's happening as much. Obviously, the big stuff would be wired money. But yeah, it's got to be incredibly hard. However, if they could get a push by Mexico and the international community to find this, you're not going to be able to transfer money from Venezuela to Mexico if you're MS-13. If both those governments are going, we're going to stop you. You're going to have to find an end around Swiss, But if Sweden says, no, we're going to stop you because fentanyl's killing our people too. I mean, it's not just America.
No, it's not.
Global.
Yeah.
And it's coming from China. It's coming from Mexico. It's coming, So it's a global pandemic, really, is what it is. That we're not supposed to use that word, but yeah, it's a global pandemic.
Yeah, it is.
And if you've ever seen the videos of people on it, it is so incredibly disheartening. And you just, if you have a soul, you can't look at somebody who's taken it and make fun of them or feel okay about it. It's so tragic to see the life drain out of somebody. And I'm not talking about death. They're still alive, but they might as well be gone because they just, it's like the lean, like they just stand there leaning like they're going to fall over, but they don't, and they can't move. They can't do anything. So incredibly sad drug.
Here's one. I'm going to, this is, golly, you feel for those folks. Addiction is such a,
And I mean, what?
okay, I'm going to
Yeah.
mute that because I don't know what is being said, but there you go. This guy is apparently like sleeping.
It's just so sad.
Yeah. I mean, and this is, there's the others where people are hunched over. They look like zombies,
Yeah.
and golly, that's horrible.
And how I don't understand how they don't fall over is like, but I imagine they do.
Yeah,
But
oh, yeah,
there's so many of these that you see that you're like, they're still standing. I don't get it. I mean, they're still standing. So this is what it's doing to people.
Yeah.
And so, it is a war that they're waging on us, and it's time for us to take it to them. Yeah. And I agree with this, so waiting for the green light, go for it.
And the kids too, I have to bring that up, that there are kids out there, recreational drugs have become a part of our society. Not a good part, obviously, but it's become a part of our society. And kids will think that they're studying for a test and they want to take Xanax because or not Xanax, but Adderall or something like that. And it is pressed by some degenerate on a street corner or in some back room, and it's laced with fentanyl because they want them to take it, get addicted because it's hyper addictive.
Yep.
And they end up overdosing. And so a kid who doesn't have any nefarious intent, not even an addiction problem, but they end up, families lose their kids. If there's not, good gracious.
Yeah. If there's not a reason to go after them, I don't know what is. This is it.
Bingo. Bingo.
This is it. So, but yeah, that is a big one. I know also, if he stymies the immigration benefit package, right? And we've got a strong presence on the border. Mm-hmm. What does that look like for, do you want to stop coming to America if you're not getting help? Do you think? Because, back when my great grandparents came, mm-hmm. they weren't getting help, but they wanted to come from America to America so that they had a better opportunity, mm-hmm. right? That was the American dream. That's what that was about. How many of these people coming do you feel like are coming here for the American dream versus coming here for free healthcare and to escape something,
But I think a lot of them are escaping poverty, first off.
Yes.
And poverty is not a reason to leave.
No.
That's not, I'm sorry, but there's the vast majority of the world, while we've decreased world poverty over the past, 100 years, poverty is just something that's not a reason to come to our country. If you are being religiously, because that's not an asylum.
But if they're coming here, because I think the promise is, and word has gotten out, that they're coming here and they won't be in poverty because they're going to get.
Right.
Right.
That's the exact point. Is
okay.
That they're going to get something for coming here. They get the free money. It's all on WhatsApp and it's all over Signal, and they've got threads that they can follow on TikTok, other places that are coaching them. If you come here, you get the free stuff. And that's the bulk of them, I think. From what I've read, that's the vast majority of them. Others are criminals. Others are the wives with their kids, a woman and her, children swimming across the Rio Grande. And they're just, they're just looking for a better life. And, but the actual religious persecution, what it's supposed to be, is if a government is persecuting those individuals, that's a reason to claim asylum, but you have to claim asylum in the first free country that you come to. And that is not America.
No, that is not America.
It is Canada.
Right.
It is Mexico.
Right.
And the Remain in Mexico policy, if it's fine, you want to become a U.S. citizen, you can live in Mexico.
Right.
And we will process your claim, and it will take years, and you can live in Mexico, a free country.
Right. Yeah, because Mexico's not persecuting people based on their beliefs.
No,
right?
Not at all. And but when you hear asylum seekers, it is such a falsehood.
Yeah.
That all these people are asylum seekers, not in accordance with the law. That's just not the way it is.
Yeah. So, but I think that him saying no benefits for immigrants, which is how most people's families came here, right? Mm-hmm. We didn't come here under the guise of getting free health care. and stuff.
Exactly.
So if you're coming here and you're not getting anything for free, you're coming here for one of two reasons. And that is, I want a better life or I want to do harm. Basically that's what you got.
Yeah.
And so, but now you can't figure out why they're coming. The vast majority of them are military age males coming across, right? We don't know who they are. We don't know where they're coming from. What we've seen, this influx of millions over the past 4 years, that I don't know how they're going to get them, but I hope they get them and get them out.
Yeah.
The whole thing in Aurora with the FBI tip off is like, how many times is that going to happen? How many people are bought and paid for? Because they're operating the same way. That the Tres Agua or whatever is a terrorist organization. They're going to run it here the same way they run it there. And that is, we can pay for information. We're going to pay you $1 million for tipping us off. Well, all right. If I can get away with it, that's great. So this is what they do. They're going to throw money at the system to try to get around the system. And so I hope they can get them. I hope they can get them all.
Yeah.
But we don't know.
Well, and people love to compare back to, you've got Ellis Island and back to all these immigration, influx of immigrants coming to America. A couple of key components. One is we did not have the social safety net that they were going to be pulling from our tax dollars,
right,
from our pool of money that we used to run our country. We didn't have to deal with that. The extremists that they were worried about, a lot of them were worried about Catholics. A lot of them were worried about other, ethnicities. But it wasn't because of extremism. It was generally because of some preconceived notion about them or some bigotry or whatever it happened to be.
And that's why you have the gangs in New York. That's why you have the Irish. They all settled in their own pockets because they were hated by the other, by Chinatowns, like all of it. But they weren't coming here for the benefit of most of them came here and it was worse in the beginning.
Right.
They were.
Well, yeah. But they came here and they had a work ethic. It was a work ethic that was, built into people of that time.
Yeah.
That it was work to survive. And they came here, they made a better life. And yeah, they had their cultural differences, but eventually there's assimilation and so on and so forth. Now you bring people in with a social safety net that costs us hundreds of billions of dollars that we do not have. That's our tax money. You are now bringing in violent extremism because you have Islamic extremism that is, obviously they hate the West. It's in every charter that they throw on the internet and every charter that they read in public is that the West has to fall. That's a threat to us and to our own citizenry. And the drug cartels, poisoning kids like we've been talking about. I mean, there's so many other threats now that are more rapidly spread throughout the country that we have to fight against.
Yeah.
And that's why it reads, no vacancy.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and I think him saying you're getting nothing for coming here is going to curb a lot of that instantly, where we're not going to get our free phones. You do realize that a migrant crossing illegally is getting, if you were to go dollar for dollar, one migrant crossing illegally is like a family of 4.
Mm-hmm.
How does this work where the government will spend more money on one person than I make? It doesn't make sense. They're living better than I am.
Yeah.
They're coming here living better than I am. And I don't think that's right. I don't think that that's right. Not that they're living better than I am. I don't care how they're living. It's just that I'm paying for them to live better than I am.
Mm-hmm.
And they're doing nothing.
Right.
If you want to work, you want to pull yourself up, you want to become part of our fabric, great, man. Great. But if you want to come here and establish your own territory, that doesn't work for the vast majority of Americans. And that this election showed that.
Yeah.
I mean, one of the biggest bell ringers was immigration. It had to stop. And he's doing what he said he was going to do. So, yeah, I think that today, him making that executive order, huge. I wonder what took him so long. So what else do we got tonight?
Oh, well, we got to go down on the thumbnail a little bit here to RFK Jr. officially saying that HHS defines a woman as an adult human female. Who would have ever thought that would be a controversial? Here we go. Let me pull it up so everybody can see. It's like an accomplishment. Hey, we're calling women now. Ain't
Yeah.
that something?
I love the PM. This comes after many within the Biden administration could not answer the question of what is a
To
woman.
include one of our Supreme Court justices.
Yeah.
By the way.
Yep. What is a woman? That was a great movie.
Oh, well, what women want.
What? No. Well, that was funny. But
What is woman?
what is a woman? Yeah.
I didn't see that one. I need to watch it.
What? Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't watch it.
It's a great movie.
Don't they want a subscription before you can watch it?
I think that's out now. You can watch it without the subscription.
Oh,
but
okay.
Yes, Daily Wire did want a subscription to watch a movie, but
Yeah. Sorry. I mean, Daily Wire does some great stuff, but
Yeah.
I give my money other places. I'm not giving it to them.
I do too. And you know what? I was going to say something. When you were bringing up giving to charities, it's important. Find out the charities you're giving to because they give you the information. I want to know where that money's going. We've talked about this because there's a lot of these charities out there that boast of good things, but then spend an enormous amount of money promoting themselves, and their executives are well off. So the money that you're giving, a small percentage goes to what you actually think it's going to. The rest goes to growing the organization and the people involved with it. And so I do want to challenge you with that. A lot of Christian organizations operate that way. You know, some of these sponsor a child ministries. Very little of what your sponsorship is going for is actually for the child, some of them. And that's not right. So find out before you sign on the dotted line, you know, sign your life away, because it's kind of what, you know,
Yeah.
they don't forget that you said you'd sponsor that child. Find out how the money is spent. It's very important to me because I don't want to support, you know, Tom and Miranda's mansion and their new car. I want to support Lupe, you know, who just got rescued from the garbage dump. So that's why we signed up. And so yeah, just always do your homework. It's important.
And there's sites out there that will tell you, you know, they'll give you the percentage of spending based on personnel, whether it's personnel, marketing, all of that stuff, and then what actually goes towards it. Or you can do what I do if you're a real nerd, and you can just go look at people's tax records.
Well,
Those nonprofits
that's next level.
are all on the IRS website. You just have to find their EIN, Google your charity. No,
Isn't that funny? Elon Musk has access to that stuff now. Anyway. But yeah, I do challenge people to. And by the way, Tom and Miranda, if you own one of these international efforts, that was just a total stab at white people names.
was it?
Tom and Miranda. You know, you're going to go to Tom and Miranda's support their mansion. I don't know who they are, but
I don't either.
Okay, go ahead. This is great.
So the other piece of this is
crazy. This is crazy.
Yeah. Trump signs an executive order. So HHS says a man is a man, a woman is a woman, an adult human female, all that stuff. Trump says men can't compete in women's sports. And Maine says we're going to ignore it. And I think there's some other states that are going to ignore it as well. And here we go. High school pole vaulting championship was a male. A guy beat the women. And you can see there, quite a tall gentleman. And I'm going to read some of this story because this is interesting. In the wake of the state of Maine saying it would defy President Donald Trump's executive order barring biological males from women's sports, a trans-identified male has won Maine state championship for pole vaulting. The student, going by the name Katie, is from Cumberland's Greeley High School. During Monday's Class B championship meet, the student jumped 11 feet, which is just 1 inch shy of the state record that had been set in 2024. Per the Maine Wire, the student's jump would have been a mediocre score for boys, putting Kate in 10th place among the boys' competition. This same boy, and 2 years ago, John tied for 5th place in boys' pole vault. Tonight, Katie won 1st place in the girls' Maine State Class B championship.
Yeah, so he would have been, with this record-setting pole vault, he would have been 10th.
Right.
But instead, he's 1st because he just swapped his gender.
Right.
So, and you know, here's my big hang up with this among so many other things, but someday Katie's going to be like, I'm John. Mm-hmm. And Katie might end up getting married and having a family of his own. Katie, what do? Do you hang that medal for 1st place at the Maine State Championship in women's pole vaulting on your wall? Are you proud of this for the rest of your life? Because if you come to your senses and go, you know what? It's not right. you're going to want to give that medal back. There's no way you can hang on to it. As a man, there's no way you could say, yeah, I thundered on a bunch of women and look what I did, you know? Oh, good for you, He-Man. Good for you. You pole vaulted 10th place and got a first place medal for it. It just,
That's it.
but how about these states that are doing this? Like, I get it. You have a right to choose as a state because this is how our nation was founded, how this is the fabric of America, right? But this is going to happen again in other states that are not siding with this gender identity thing, that they're going to have men, women compete and men are going to win, and it's going to make the news. You want it to stop having it make the news. Like, just let them have their moment, I guess. I don't know.
So if you do it for one, you do it for all. And when states start putting girls in MMA fights, like the UFC did it, that because Fallon Fox, I think UFC has stopped it.
Yes,
but Fallon Fox, Fallon Fox would go in
skull crusher,
absolutely no technique. Just lay waste to, like that's sadistic is really what it is.
Well, in the Olympics this year,
right?
You know, 2 women won, first and second because they're men.
One girl dropped one of the actual women dropped out because after the first 30 seconds said, "I've never been punched that hard in my life."
Right, and so you sit back and go, okay.
So to your point about it being a states' right issue, I think that it's like violence, right? If it's maybe it should be specific to contact sport, and if the state wants to do it, because the state goes to nationals, you've got people that are competing in that. So all those athletics is what the NCAA and all these athletic agencies are supposed to be.
Well, but that's the thing. Nationals, he's not going anywhere beyond Maine, right? Because if he wants to travel regionally, all the other states would put him in the men's bracket. But
yeah, I guess.
So do you see how complicated that becomes? This is the bar that she gets to hurdle, literally.
Yeah.
This is it, because he's a pole vaulter, right?
Yeah.
But this is the bar. It was set really high in 10th place for men's,
Yeah.
But that's as high as he's getting, because you can't go across the river and pole vault and win because you're a man. And because of this statement and all the states that have said, yeah, we agree with that, where do you go from here? You're only going to be able to compete with 6 states. You have to travel all over the country to find these states that'll let you compete.
So do you oppose a federal ban then? Do you think it should be entirely left up to the states?
Well, in this issue, I think it should be. I think it should be federal in this issue. However, I also am, as a constitutional guy, right? Yeah. Like, I sit back and go, this power really doesn't belong to the federal government. This should be a state by state issue. However, that makes it incredibly complicated. Mm-hmm. Now, when it comes to the NCAA, right, because that's national, then that's a federal issue.
Yeah.
But it can go state by state in high school. That's fine. You want Timmy to win women's wrestling? Go for it. Yeah. He wins, but he stays there. He can't wrestle or compete collegiately because the NCAA says no.
Yeah.
And if they say yes, then they lose their funding. And that's not something they're going to say yes to because they want their funding. Right?
I get that. I just think it needs to be, I think if there's contact involved, I think it needs to be a federal statute because.
Well, it is now.
Yeah. Well, technically, but they are ignoring it. The state says you don't have the right to tell me what you can do.
So it's a federal statute, and the state's saying, you know what? No.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's an executive order, I guess.
What it is a mess.
Yeah.
It's a mess. And this is sad. And you know what? That girl standing there next to him in second place is the winner.
Yes.
And she knows it. Mm-hmm. And the girl standing next to her in third took second place, and she knows it. These women have got to go, ignore the giant in the room. This is our reality. So for all these women in swimming, Riley Gaines and all these women that have been swimmers and everything else that are getting beat by men, I'm sorry that you have to just, I can't imagine y'all just to ignore the giant and who won.
Gosh.
I mean, it's
It's just a level of degeneracy that is
he's a foot taller than her.
yes. Yeah. He's a absolute monster.
Yeah.
And that's the same way it was with
The swimmer.
Leah Thomas.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. I mean,
Huge. Like 6'2", 6'3", and
your arm length is the size of second place.
Yeah.
You know, so yeah, if it's a federal issue and the states are choosing to ignore it, what do you do, though? I mean, what are they going to do? Stop the funding? That's it. Power of the purse. The only thing they can do, and I say do it.
Yeah. I would agree with that.
So, yeah. What else?
Okay, so this is interesting.
You had to pull this up.
I don't have to show it.
No, go ahead, show it.
I know you're going to have opinions on this one.
Okay, so first of all,
Yes.
to play black queer woman to play Jesus Christ in Jesus Christ Superstar musical at Hollywood Bowl. Okay, this is a headline.
Yep.
Now, Cynthia Erivo, who is that? Is that the actress from
Wicked.
Yeah, from Wicked.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's start there. She's a hot mess to begin with, right? She is nothing shy of satanic if she's not possessed already. Seeing interviews with her about Wicked and all the stuff, you sit back and go, there are elements about this woman that are evil.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact that she's cast to play the black queer woman as Jesus in Hollywood, whatever, they're going to eat their own. It's
Yeah.
no God-fearing Christian is going to go see that to begin with. It's not going to influence anybody because everybody knows that Jesus wasn't a woman and Jesus wasn't queer, right? So, okay, great. This shouldn't be a headline.
That's, this is similar to what I pulled out of it is go right ahead. You have the right to do this in America. This is freedom of speech, obviously. Never doubt that. I'll never argue that. But if you want to do that, continue to show yourself.
Yeah,
for who you
absolutely.
are. It's like Sam Smith. Sam Smith, and obviously I don't listen to Sam Smith. I don't watch Sam Smith, but I see the people that record video and say this guy has A, lost his mind, and B, gone entirely satanic. That
Yep.
you're making it easy for us.
Yeah, she's making
identify.
it easy for us.
Right.
Yeah, and especially it's Jesus Christ Superstar.
Yeah.
Not exactly the gospel. It's not
Right.
the passion.
Right.
It's Jesus Christ Superstar. So
But they wouldn't have a chance to do something like that. So it's simply saying this says that's their messaging behind this. It says Jesus in it.
yes.
So we're going to take someone who is, a queer. What's the role?
She's
Whatever,
black,
queer woman.
queer
Yeah.
woman to be Jesus. And you know what? $20 says, here we're betting again, $20 says that when it comes to the scene of the Last Supper, they have a big fat transsexual.
Like they did.
It's just like the Olympics. They just replay the Olympic scene, So, but yeah, the enemy's showing his stripes.
Yeah.
And what's crazy, Jared, is, and I was talking to my son about this. He's 11. He's got a lot of questions. A lot of questions. And I don't have all the answers. Yes, I've done a lot of studies and a lot of, I would say probably more studies than most average pastors have done on end time stuff. But I still don't. I don't know. And the more you study, the more you don't know. That's the fun thing about Scripture. But as this stuff happens, remember, in the end, evil is going to be called good, and good is going to be called evil. And so something like this wins a headline because it's affirming, because it's good, because it's, look, we accept everybody. We just, love everybody. Well, I guarantee she doesn't.
Yeah.
She doesn't love everybody.
No.
If you're against the agenda, they hate you. And I will tell you, the days of the tolerant gay community are, I don't want to say over. I think that there's a vast majority of the homosexual community that is so tolerant and so we don't like to see this kind of stuff. We just want to be left alone. They just want to be left alone.
Yep. 100%.
And then this kind of stuff happens, which they just cringe. I think of my friend Al, who, I worked with a guy named Al Tunnicliffe for years. And Raymond, if you listen, I hope you listen. I hope you're doing well. But Al was gay. Raymond was his husband. And Al was a good friend of mine. And we talked about Christ. We talked about all kinds of different things. Al believed in Jesus. Al struggled with his lifestyle. But Al is rolling over in his grave with this stuff. He would want to slap her, and I think that community, by and large, are just, they get it. This is my preference. Mm-hmm. This isn't, my whole life doesn't revolve around this stuff. And I certainly don't want to throw it in your face.
Yeah.
I certainly don't want you to be uncomfortable around me.
Right.
And then you go to this extreme. And I think it makes them bristle. I think it rubs them the wrong way too. So,
well, it's the loudest voices. That's part of what we're, constantly trying to really fight back against, is that the loudest voices are being pushed to the front of public discourse. So we're talking about the woman who says, I'm a witch and I'm a this and I'm a that, and I'm also going to play, Jesus, and I'm going to, here's all the things that I identify with. And if you don't, not just, like it's like with transgenderism, it's not that, we understand it as gender dysphoria, that's what it is. But if you don't lean into the mental health problem, then you are the enemy, you are evil. And that's such a small portion of people, first off, but it gets pushed so loudly and so often by, in particular, the political left, that people start thinking that's just the way it is with everybody. And that's not true. Like you're talking about
the vast majority are, no,
right.
No. So, you see a headline like this and you kind of scratch your head and go, okay, they can have their cake. They can eat it too. I don't care. Hollywood, it's just awful. So this is Fauci.
Yeah, this is all Fauci.
This is all Fauci.
Yep.
And he needs to be held, he needs to go to jail for this or whatever, because this is animal cruelty.
Oh, it is.
Total animal cruelty.
So millions of taxpayer dollars have been spent on studying transgender surgeries and treatments using animals, the House Oversight Committee revealed. In a hearing, the committee found that $241 million in taxpayer dollars has been spent on transgender animal experience. The findings emerged after Justin Goodman, Senior Vice President of Advocacy and Public Policy at White Coat Waste Project, testified at an oversight hearing earlier this month. So he said, in a lot of these cases, they involve mice, rats, monkeys, who are being surgically mutilated and subjected to hormone therapies to mimic female or male to male or male to female gender transitions, gender-affirming hormone therapies, and then looking at the biological, psychological, and physiological effects of the gender transition, looking at the effects of taking vaccines after you've transitioned these animals from male to female or female to male, looking at the size of their genitals changing after you've put them on estrogen and testosterone therapies to transition them. You essentially needed, let's see, where was it? There was a part where he said, basically saying that this is, in his words, horrific, like the way that these animals are treated. But this is, I mean, look, man, there are parents out there doing this and advocating to have this done to their children.
Yeah.
And a lot of folks throw a fuss about us doing it to animals.
Oh, more so.
Yeah. And yet,
I saw a comedian a while back who
$250 million on it too.
Yeah, $241 million. That's the thing that grates me.
Yeah.
So saw a comedian a while ago who was talking about how his father passed away, and the dog every night would go and stand next to the chair, or got up and and finally the boy says to his mom, like, we need to tell the dog that dad's gone, and so they tell him, and the dog goes up and sits in the chair that the dad used to sit in and died, and the entire audience goes, "Aw,"
Yeah.
And he's like, "This is my point. Like, you care more about the pets."
Yeah.
Like I said, my dad passed away, and nobody said "aw."
Yeah.
And then the minute it was the dog, it's like, "Aw," like, yeah. So this will make people upset. It makes me upset. $241 million. Don't care so much about the animals. Care about the money, though.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But there's going to be people upset about the animals. PETA, there's going to be a lot of people that come after him about this. This is Fauci. His tentacles are all over this. This isn't, don't kid yourself. This is something he was directly involved in, and there is no, like the gain of function research was like, well, it wasn't just Fauci. He was, no, this is him.
Yep.
This is his organization. He approved it. He's all about it. And so, and first of all, it's sick in so many levels because what you're doing is you're taking what God has created and trying to turn it into something else. And that is the enemy's plan. That's what he wants. He doesn't want you to believe anything about yourself, the way that God has created you. If he can get you to stop believing the truth, then he's won. And so Fauci's all about that kind of research.
I'll show you another one that Fauci did. This will make you nauseous. Well, it won't make you nauseous, but
he's,
these are the little dogs that they put in here, and they had flies eat them alive.
Aw.
Yeah, it's messed up. Put their little heads in there, and then the flies eat
sand flies.
Mm-hmm. Put their heads in cages, remove some of their vocal cords.
So they couldn't hear them barking and screaming.
Let the sand flies eat the puppies alive. There you go.
Thanks, Anthony. They were probably genetically modified sandflies too, that they're going to turn loose on the public, so they can bite them.
Maybe it was a Bill Gates project.
Yeah,
it was a Bill
they can
Gates
bite them.
project.
Did you see the latest from Maha coming out with the I don't remember who it was. One of the doctors came out and was talking about the vaccines and the inserts in these vaccines. So the Gen Pop only hears about Kennedy being against vaccines and blah, blah, blah. And he says, nobody in this audience, as far as media goes, has taken one of these vaccines and pulled out the sheet. And he opens up just one of them, grabs it, and it's this page that is, it's like 7 pages, long, but it's one paper. Mm-hmm. And he said, these are the side effects. These are the known problems. And nobody's talking about this.
Wow.
Where, yes, they have to by law say this may cause, right? Mm-hmm. This may cause all of these different things. And so if you look at the vaccine and see what it may cause, then you should have the right to go, yeah, I don't think I want to give Timmy this, mm-hmm. right? But what happens is the doctors don't give you that information. Like you don't have a kid, but we got ours vaccinated for the first bubble or whatever it is that, and sadly we couldn't get them vaccinated for disobedience, but we tried. But they don't give you the paper to say, here, read up on this. And it's not a may cause drowsiness.
Yeah.
It is this may alter your child's life forever.
Right.
And they have to print it and they have to give it to you. They're supposed to let you know, but they don't. Mm-hmm. They just say, it's time for your measles vaccine.
Yeah.
Let's stick them in the arm. Meanwhile, it could cause them to be autistic. And I'm not saying that it could. It's hypothetical. But, they don't give you the risks. It's not like the commercials on TV where
Right.
They don't have any of that. They don't give you the sheet. So, yeah, it's fascinating what they're uncovering and what they're being upfront and transparent with us about already. 4 weeks in, 3 weeks. What are we? 4 weeks.
We'll be 4 weeks tomorrow because we're February 19th.
So it's like 4 weeks in. I know more about our government than I've known since I've been alive. Am I right?
Yeah.
In 4 weeks of him taking over, I know more about what's going on in the government than I've ever known in my life.
Yeah. And the specifics. Every now and then you'd get somebody to pull out a couple of spending things here. Rand Paul would do it all the time. But to just have it force fed over X, when I get on my X feed, it's like, well, we found another 10 billion. We found another 30 billion.
It's unbelievable.
It's
unbelievable.
Yeah.
I was really hoping we could discuss tonight. We got to wrap up. We got a minute, but I wanted to discuss the Epstein list. I wanted to discuss P. Diddy list. Because I thought we'd have them by now.
Mm-hmm. When Kash Patel gets in, I think.
You think that then?
I think that'll be the catalyst.
Okay, and I want to know about Kennedy.
I think he has been sitting there waiting, saying, don't release it until I get in office. Give me my limelight. You know what I'm saying?
You know what? You might be right. And that's a good play.
Yeah, he's like, I want people to be terrified of me. I want to be the one who says,
that's a good play.
the director of the FBI, here's the Epstein list.
Yep. That's a good play.
Have at it, America.
Yep. Go ahead and eat your own.
Yep.
And I'll tell you what, if I was one of those people on the list, I'd be putting gates on my house now.
Yeah.
I would be making sure I would hire security. Because there's going to be people that are upset with you.
Yeah.
There's going to be a lot of people that are upset with you.
Oh, it's going to upend. I mean, right. Honestly, rightfully so. If you were part of that, there's going to be folks that aren't on the list that it gets released that are cooperating because they'll flip people once they realize that. Hey,
absolutely.
I've got to start playing ball.
Yep.
There's going to be.
You're talking actors that'll never star in movies again.
Yep.
Singers that will never sell an album again. Mm-hmm. We're talking celebrities that will be eating out of garbage cans because their finances are going to be seized and everything else. Yep. It's going to be an amazing time for America. It's a purification.
Yeah.
And it needs to happen. The sooner it happens, the better. I can't wait to see that list. I can't wait to know more. I mean, I've already heard there's 2 shooters. I've already heard, different little things, but I can't wait to see it. So hopefully when Kash gets in, you're right.
The JFK and RFK stuff and MLK stuff is being, I think it's being released. They're in the process of transferring it from wherever it is in a skiff somewhere over to the National Archives. And in the process, Congress is getting their hands on it because they want to be the ones to. Yeah. So that's where I think Anna Paulina Luna is saying, I've read some of this stuff already. I think there's 2 shooters. We'll see.
I feel like Congress needs to.
I was hoping it would have come quick as a hiccup.
Yes. I think Congress needs to step down because most of them are dirtbags and shouldn't have access to any of it. I mean, agreed?
I mean, not step down.
They need to find out when we find out.
Yeah. But, I was listening to a guy who did a documentary on it, and he believes, and from his research, so much was destroyed back then that what we're going to get isn't going to reveal as much as we think.
Right.
And that's because back then it wasn't the digitization of it.
Yeah, it's
stuff.
just paper.
It was all paper.
It's all paper.
A match and a little lighter fluid, and
it's done.
Bob's your uncle. Yeah.
Yeah, it'll be very interesting to see what comes out, what we learn. Lucky us, the other things, the Epstein list, the P. Diddy stuff, that is all digitized. That is all over the place. And when the secrets are revealed, we're going to have a lot of pushback on some individuals. And that'll be great because we serve a God of justice and we desire to see justice being served. And I'm all for it. So, but it is
not for being vindictive, but for the good of the people who suffered through all of that mess.
Yes.
For the closure that they need, the thousands of people that Ghislaine Maxwell and Jeffrey Epstein and P. Diddy and other folks allegedly, well, not Ghislaine Maxwell did because she pled, obviously.
Yeah, she's guilty. Yeah.
But that P. Diddy allegedly did, if that becomes the case, yeah.
I mean, and here's
any closure.
Not only for the thousands of people they did it to, but the preventative measure from them doing it to thousands more.
Exactly.
When human trafficking is one of the biggest businesses on our southern border, we've got an issue and we need to deal with it. So I want them all. They all need to go out of business.
Yep.
And hopefully this helps. So till next time, though, if you got questions or anything you want to talk about, you can go ahead and reach out to us at thebraverthantheRest@gmail.com, thebraverthantheRest@gmail.com. And also, I hate to say this, but my T-shirt design skills are terrible. I'm going to have to get somebody to help me just a little bit.
I'm going to design. I haven't spent the time on it. I'm going to do this.
Yeah.
I am going to spend some time on it.
So we'll get some stuff up, I promise. But till next week, keep your eyes to the skies. Our king is returning. Braver than the rest, signing off.